I have ranked many things in Kenshi, from weapons to prosthetics to zones and cities, and today I'm ranking all of the animals that Kenshi has to offer. I'm going to be ranking them basically on how useful they can be, how cool they can be, how unique they can be, how dangerous they can be. All of these various things I'm going to be thinking about while ranking. Also, I'm not ranking boss-like animals, so the great white gorilla or maybe a mega raptor or the king, who is really the only crimper. So if you're not playing with mods, then he's not really a animal species of himself, but we're not gonna rank him over here because he's just overpowered. Also, yes, I do know that you can put animals into beds and cheese them that way because they can't get out and level up fast. I know, I'm aware. Don't need to mention it anymore. Anyway, let's now begin. We're starting with the most unique animal, and basically when you think of Kenshi, you think of this animal. It's of course the big thing. We have big things, everybody loves big things. They are the scourge of new players. They will get eaten a lot by the new players when they don't quite realize how to fight them. But once you have played this game for a while, you realize that big things are not very dangerous, and they're very easy to either avoid or fight. Of course, if you want to fight them, best thing to do is spread around to your people so they don't get AoE'd by the big things, or have somebody tank them and just use crossbows. Crossbows are always your answer, really, basically against anything that you want to drop. Big things do drop a lot of meat and hide for you, so if you want to do that, you can get a lot of that out of them. And while they're very fast, they will get stuck on basically any terrain, and they have a very long animation, the attack animation, so you can really easily kite them and get away from them, which is not a problem. Also, of course, everybody loves big things, big thing eggs, and the omelette that unfortunately is non-existent in Kenshi. But anyway, unique, iconic and cool animal, big thing, deserves to be S tier. Next on the list we have blood spiders, and who doesn't hate a good old blood spider? Tell me, show me one person. The blood spider menace is a menace because you will never see them coming. They're tiny and they are red in this gloomy green dark swamp where it's really hard to actually see them coming, especially if you're colorblind like me. So these ones will of course always come at the wrong time. They will also try to eat you. They hit like a truck, even though they're small tiny little beings, but they are a glass cannon, which means they'll get destroyed absolutely if you actually manage to hit them, if you have some proper weapons. But they can be a huge trap for any newer players that have a small group of people and you just fought some bandits and you feel like you're good, let's go south from the borderlands to the swamps, and then you get eaten by these guys, which is unfortunately. Also, they don't drop anything useful, so that makes them even worse. We all hate them, the blood spiders. F tier. Next we have skin spiders, the big brothers of the blood spiders. They of course look nasty as well, but these guys, you can actually see them coming. They're not very fast, and while they do have better stats, they don't have such high attack speed as the blood spiders, and they also don't drop anything useful, which makes it sad. They're also still squishy, not quite the glass cannon that the blood spiders are, but still pretty squishy. Of course, they're the honor guard of the bug master, which does make them pretty special. Of course, bug monsters usually do have some blood spiders as well, but hey. Anyway, these guys are a bit more bearable than their cousins, so we're gonna put them into C tier. Next, we have bone dogs, the good doggos that you can tame. Well, not quite tame, but you can buy them and level them up from pup to an elder, and they become an absolute beast if you really manage to keep them alive that long, and they will tear your enemies apart. Bone dogs have really high dexterity, which means they can keep on attacking, and even when they are small and tiny, they will still deal quite a lot of damage, which is something you have to be careful of when you're out there adventuring in the wild, because the bone dogs will hunt you down and hurt you. Now, they will not eat you. They do not eat living things, living beings. They do eat dead beings though, so there's that. And they also love to play limbs, which is a very unique thing for them. They will grab a severed limb and run around with it, and it's gonna cause you a headache when you're trying to keep that little pup alive and you realize that he has ran somewhere out they're again with a limp. They will stop playing limps once they reach the age of elder, but you know, that's gonna take a while. Anyway, they are good doggos, they're great companions. We're gonna put them out here into A tier. Next on the list, we have boneyard wolves, which are the distant cousins of the doggos. They pretty much look the same, but they are much bigger, and they are also browner. They're kind of like a bear, really, compared to the poor doggos. They live in the boneyards, and they will hurt you a lot if they fight you. They have high stats, they are strong, fast attack speed. They will devastate your not prepared people. For sure. And they also love eating big things there, so you can just watch them fight big things as well, or watch them devour other like human caravans or something like that that might pass through there. They are not as good doggos as the bone dogs, because in vanilla you cannot recruit them, so you cannot rank them as highly. We're gonna put it out here into C tier. Next on the list, we have the various bulls that live out here. You have the domesticated bulls that have no horns, you have the pack bulls, and you have the wild bulls. I think the domesticated ones have slightly lower stats, but roughly they're pretty much all the same. You're really not gonna really notice the difference. These bulls are very good, you know, when they carry stuff around for you. You love them when they do that, and they have a pretty decent AoE attack. Now, unfortunately, that charge they have, the hits, that can also get them stuck, because once they grow older and they grow bigger, it takes them like half a year to turn around and try doing that again. And you know, when you're traveling around, they will most likely get stuck around. But then again, you can just carry them and, you know, have a caravan of your people with bulls on their backs, because who doesn't love that? But yeah, they're great pack animals. That definitely gives them a good bonus, and they're also sturdy. They can take a lot of shots and hits in combat, and of course they will also deal damage. We're gonna put them up here into A tier. Next on the list, you probably can't tell from this picture. I tried really taking a decent one, but it's cleanser units. These boys you can find in the Ashlands. They are huge Leviathan-like robots that drop AI cores. Basically, they are your source of renewable AI cores if you can take them down. They have a couple thousand HP, and they do hurt a decent amount, but they're not the strongest or the most dangerous thing you're gonna be fighting out there in the Ashlands. If you go at them solo, it could be, you know, it's gonna take you a while to actually take them down, but you know, with any proper character, you will be able to do that. If your character is ready to go to the Ashlands, he probably is ready to take this bad boy down. Just be careful that you don't get ambushed by anything else. Of course, AI cores is the big thing that they do drop, but they are extremely slow. You can't pick them up, which makes it problematic if they die in a stupid terrain where they, you know, you can't really loot them, which can happen. So we're gonna put them out here into B tier, somewhere in the middle of the pack. Next on the list, we have crabs. The crab raiders love them, and for some reason the YouTube community also loves them. I never was the biggest fan of crabs, but I do have to admit, when they're adults and elders, they will hurt a lot, because they have to do that AoE with their big old pincers, so they do definitely hurt a lot if you have them on your squad, or if you're fighting crab raiders, or if you're fighting crabs in the wild. While they're still small, they are very squishy, and they will only give you meat, of course, them being crabs, but I'm sure that meat is pretty delicious. But yeah, if you use them as attack animals, they can be great. Of course, you'll pretty much have to carry them all around with yourself, because they are very slow, so maybe base defense might be the way to go. Because themselves, even if you allow them to walk, you're just gonna get stuck anywhere. We're gonna put them out here into A tier. Crabbers, pretty cool. Next on the list, we have the Garu, or pack beasts as they're known when they carry stuff for you. These guys are very much comparable to bulls. They have different type of AoE, but they still have AoE. No charge, but really comparable to bulls. They will carry your stuff for you. They will soak a lot of damage, and they will deal a lot of damage back. A lot of people ask me, what do you prefer, a bull or a Garu? And I have to admit, they are similar in my eyes. I love them both. I name them Steve every time, and I love them both. So Garus, they're good boys. We're gonna put them up here with the bulls into A tier. Next on the list, we have goats. They are the trap that new players usually kind of find themselves falling into very early on, where their character is starving. They see this little goat that is tiny, it's got almost no stats, and they're like, oh, finally, easy meal, and they go there and they get smacked and absolutely destroyed by that goat, and I just have to laugh because it's hilarious and it's cool. Goats in this game are nothing to joke with. Of course, once you are stronger and tougher and all that stuff, you're gonna destroy them for their meat and leather if you so desire. But goats are cool. They have their own tower of goats. They have their own unique recruit Cornelius that you can get. They're pretty damn awesome, pretty damn cool, but not the coolest. I mean, they're goats. We're gonna put them out here into C tier. Next on the list, we have gorillas. They are basically kind of like white ape gorilla type of things that will run around vain and fight and also lose to big things. They're decently tough, so you know, if you want to fight them, maybe like in the low to mid game, they can be really decent sparring partners. They will not try to actually eat you after they defeat you, and if you need to run away, they're actually pretty slow, so you know, that's easy. But then again, they do fight big things, and then big things start to eat them and more big things come around, so it could pose a problem for you in that regard. But you gotta admit, these guys are pretty cool, pretty decent. Unfortunately, they don't drop any meat if you're trying to hunt them for food, just a lot of skin. We're gonna put them out here into B tier. Next, of course, we have the black gorilla, which are the cousins of these normal gorillas. They live in the southeast part of the map and the most dangerous part of the map, and they are thusly much stronger, so you know, mid to high level characters can go there and find the black gorillas and train with them if they so desire. These guys are nothing to sneeze at. Still don't drop meat though, but they do drop more skins, more leather for you, so you can use them for that as well if you want to just craft some of your stuff. They are pretty cool. We're gonna put them above the normal gorillas just because they can stand their ground for a bit longer. Then we go to the spiders of the robotic variants. First, we have the iron spider. These guys are the biggest of all the robotic spiders with the most HP, but also the squishiest, really. They are the weakest link amongst them all. They might be dangerous to low-level characters because they patrol the various regions where skeletons used to be. And you can find them, a lot of them, in Deadlands. They're sitting there being dead, basically, so it kind of lulls you in into a false sense of security, and then you figure out some of those are not dead. Some of them still move around and they might attack you. Alas, they are very slow, so they will never catch you if you can run away from them. Be careful though if you try to swim away from them, because they will catch you underwater, they will hit you underwater, they will do a lot of damage to you underwater, and it could prove a problem. But you know, with some brains, you will never have trouble with these guys. Unfortunately, they don't drop anything useful, so we're gonna put them out here into F tier. Next, we have security spiders. These guys are much stronger. Of course, they have less HP than these ones, but they are much stronger, and they will destroy you if you try to fight them. You will find them guarding ruins, so you will always find them inside, in small areas where they can actually clump on you and they will hit you. They have really fast attack speed and they do a lot of damage, so if they stagger your person, they will keep on staggering them until they drop, which can be really problematic. So the best thing is, while they're still slow, is to use a crossbow man. Just pull them out of the ruin, kite them around with a crossbow person, drop them on the ground, have somebody pick up their skeleton muscle, which is the unique thing they drop, and that will kill them or shut them down forever. And then, you know, you can go back, and usually you can pull successfully 1 or 2 out from the ruin and just repeat that until you deal with them if you're not ready to fight. Because if you're fighting them, there's a good chance you're going to be losing some limbs if your character are not that strong. But then again, losing limbs is always a good thing in Kenshi, so you might want to do that. Anyway, unique, awesome, strong, S tier. Next, we have the Security Spiders Mark II. These ones are the glass cannon version of the Security Spiders, much like the Blood Spiders over here, but they are still strong. They have a lot less HPs. Chances are you're going to be able to drop them faster, but they usually have very high stats, which means very high toughness. So if you are, you know, going at them with crossbows, as you probably should, The crossbows are not going to be dealing that much damage because of their high toughness, so it's going to be still a tough battle, and they might be slightly faster than the normal spiders, but they're not pretty fast. Just they're tiny, so it might be hard to notice them. Usually you're not going to be finding that many around. They usually are actual guards of various skeletons on the map, so, you know, not all of these guys are hostile. But those that do, you know, just be wary when you deal with them. I think we're gonna put them out here in the middle and to maybe B tier. Next we have land bats. Do not underestimate these critters. They roam around in big groups down there in the southeast of the map. And usually when there's one group, there might be another one around the corner, and there's another one around the corner over there. So if you fight one group and you defeat one group, there might be another one coming, and then another one. So yeah, these guys can swarm pretty fast, but they really look cool and unique with their faces. And still, they can be really annoying and dangerous down there in southeast, because you're gonna be fighting a lot of them. But you know, you can get some meat and leather out of them, so there's that bonus. But still, land bats, in the grand scheme of things, one land bat is nothing special. Nothing crazy. They're really dangerous just in big groups. So we're gonna put these ones into C tier. Next on the list we have Leviathans. They are the biggest and the strongest animal of Kenshi. They are huge, giant with a ton of HP. Their health points go into thousands, so it's gonna take a long time to drop them. Also, they have pretty strong AoE attacks, so if you stand right beneath them, you might get hurt a lot, especially if you have multiple people. But then again, their attacks are really slow, and since they are so big and also the slowest animal pretty much out there, they will get stuck on every single terrain. So they are the best creature to train your crossbow skills at. And I have said this many times, crossbow skills or dexterity, because dexterity levels up while you're reloading a crossbow. So I have used them for dexterity training many times. Just go north to Leviathan Coast with like 100 stacks of arrows and just pump them full of arrows while you stand in an area where they can't reach, and you just drop them. Also, they drop Leviathan pearls, which, you know, gives them pretty good value. You can't carry them around though, or pick them up, which is a problem. That meaning you can't pick up their corpses, and they might die in such a terrain that you can't actually loot them. But still, I think they are a very cool kind of an enemy, and we're gonna put them out here in the middle of the pack into B tier. Next we have river raptors. These guys love your crops, they love your farms, they will come and eat them. If you don't have shoot first, ask questions later turned on in the options, your people are gonna let them come through your gates and let them eat your crops, and then only then attack them. So make sure you have that so you can shoot them. They can be a real pest, and the whole nation hates them because they will eat whole nation crops as well. So they're going to be constantly fighting them. But yeah, they will swarm your farms and eat all of your food. So be careful about that. They just waddle slowly. They're not very strong. They're not very dangerous, but they do deserve to be at least a C tier enemy, I think. Then we have the stronger brothers of the river raptors. These guys are the swamp raptors, and they live in the swamps, as the name suggests. They are a bit stronger, but if you live in the swamps, they will still love your crops and love your farms and come eat it all. So be very careful about that. And of course, if you shoot them outside of your gates, as you should, that's gonna attract more blood spiders in the swamps. So the party keeps on going on. But maybe the blood spiders that gonna eat their corpses are there gonna be then to eat your enemies that might raid you. So it might all be for the best. Still, they're still pretty weak, and when they drop stuff, they only drop foul raw meat, so no actual good meat. We're gonna put them out here into C tier with their cousins, I think. Next we have skimmers. They are the scourge of the Great Desert and skim sands. Their unique thing is that they can burrow underneath the sand and just wait for you to just walk past them, and then they're gonna jump out and try to eat you. They're actually decently fast for animals, and since the desert is mostly pretty empty, there's no way that they will get stuck on stuff when you try to kite them. So, you know, that can make them pretty dangerous, but they can really be only dangerous to like until you're mid-level. So not that strong, of course. And when it comes to drops, they mostly drop foul meat, which is unfortunate, some raw meat and some claws that you can sell, but nothing too amazing. Still, they are very unique little buggers that you can find out there in the desert, and you know, they fit in there properly. We're gonna put them out here into B tier. Last but certainly not the least, we have the swamp turtle. These little boys are the weakest animal in the whole list, absolutely the weakest, and really the only animal that is worth hunting for food, like actual proper hunting in Kenshi. These bad boys actually drop 14 meat, and even if your character is like absolutely useless pawn, they'll be able to defeat them and gather that meat and then survive from starvation. So if you're trying to play as a hunter, somebody that goes out there, hunts animals and get their meat, these would be the ones that you hunt. Now, they walk around the swamps, but usually in smaller groups. You can find them in much bigger groups down in the south wetlands, so you can do that and go hunt for them, which is usually pretty good thing to do if you're early on and you have a slightly bigger group and you want to get some meat. They are great for hunting them, and you know, if you get a mod that gives them their unique attack, that actually makes them a bit stronger and also really cool. I think they're like these tiny weird elephants, and they're awesome. We're gonna put them out here into A tier. I think they deserve it. Anyway, let me know, how do you feel about my ranking over here? What would you put into S tier? What would you put into F tier? What do you think I have completely mislabeled over here and should be somewhere else? Because I'm sure you guys have your own opinion. Anyway, if you haven't seen my previous Kenshi rankings, there's going to be a link up there. There's going to be links in the description. And I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.